sometimes we're saying things to make other people feel better, but in doing that, we're lying to ourselves.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven, and family-focused, and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience. We're back. Is it Thursday?
It's Thursday. Every Thursday, we drop a new episode of the Self-Talk Experience.
Yes, and if it's not Thursday for you, it's okay. We'd like for you to still watch us any day you like, but Thursday is when we come with the new, right?
That's exactly right. And it is a wonderful thing about setting new patterns. Repetition is involved, right? So even if you see something or you hear something that causes you to say, man, I really would like to shift that in my life. I really would like to start saying that to myself, because remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves. And so if we want to shift that, change that, grow into this new person, then we have to set a new pattern.
Okay.
And if that's the case, we should listen to an episode that we feel is impactful or adds value to us over and over and over again. One time is never enough. We used to always say in our business, that's like saying I've taken my shower. Like, that's it for the week, for the month, for the year. You're good. That's it. Like, I've taken my shower. Right. That's you got to, some things you got to do over and over and over again for them to be effective. And of course, setting new patterns and habits, repetition is going to be key there.
That's true. Very true. That's with anything, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, we were talking earlier about growth, and that kind of goes with what you were talking about just now.
Yeah.
Get into a place where you're okay with growing, especially with the people around you.
Yeah. This is, we were talking earlier about growth, and for those who've just joined us here with the Self-Talk Experience, we often talk about our own experience, self, pun intended on our last name, but also self-talk, because we have 50 to 80,000 conversations with ourselves daily. And so if we can shift those conversations where they're attracting what we want in life and repelling the things we don't want in life, then man, we've hit a great point in terms of our self-talk. And so that's our intent, is to help people to shape the stories they're telling themselves about themselves, and not the stories that they believe others may be feeling about themselves. Sometimes the stories we're telling ourselves are the things we think other people think about us. So we start saying that story over and over and over again.
Right. And that's a journey. That's not something that just happens and that's it, right?
Yeah.
We're continuing to always grow.
Yeah.
That's why it's growth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's why I think this episode, for some of us, it may stretch us a little bit. I know it stretches me when I talk about growth, because growth means change, right? It means progression. It means advancement. And we're not talking about moving backwards, right? Progression is a step forward. So growth means there's progression, there's forward advancement.
It's a stretch.
That's exactly right. So going backwards is easy, because you could do nothing and go backwards. Like literally, sometimes people think, well, I'm just going to maintain. Well, you better do something to maintain, because the world is moving forward. So if you stand still, then you actually go backwards. Think about that. The world's revolving. It's moving forward. So if you stand still, you automatically go backwards when something else is going forward.
Well, so when someone says, oh, I'm good right here where I am, that means that they're going backwards. They're not staying where they are.
That's exactly right. If they stay where they are for a long time, because the world is advancing.
Right.
The world isn't staying the same. The world is advancing.
Right.
So if the world is advancing and you're standing still, you actually go backwards. So think about this. If you're on a walkway or an escalator,
right,
and you stand still on the escalator, you got this? So you stand still on the escalator. You're moving along with the escalator in a downward motion or an upward motion.
Right.
But if the escalator stopped, like somehow it broke and it stopped, and you stood still on that escalator, and in that moment you feel like, man, I'm good because I'm just here. But other people start walking up the escalator that broke. They're actually moving forward, where you're actually day by day or hour by hour, minute by minute, if you're standing still, you're moving further and further away from those who are advancing.
Never thought about it that way.
So
Never.
But here's the magical part about this. If you're on an escalator that's moving, that's moving you toward a good direction, even if you stand still for a little bit. Now, there's no lifelong escalator, but the escalator I don't know, 30 seconds you're on an escalator. I don't think we've ever been on an escalator we're on for a minute. We've been on some long escalators like at the hotel in Vegas. But think about this. If the escalator is moving forward, yes, you can move forward with it. That's why it's good to be around good people who are growing too, because you automatically kind of get sucked into that momentum for a little bit. But if they're growing and you're not, which is what we're going to talk about today, then eventually they'll no longer want to connect with you.
Right.
So eventually you won't be able to hang on to their coattails forever. And that's why I said at some point the escalator seems like it's broken and you may be standing still, but other people who are growing, they're still moving past you, because even if the escalator is not working, they're walking, they're moving, they're finding something to grow.
Right. But could the escalator also be an analogy for growth, in a sense that it's your season to be in that place? Because sometimes we're stuck standing still, and even though people are going past you, that's your season of solitude, meditation, figuring things out. So it doesn't always have to be a bad place, because I feel like it's going in a direction where if you're standing on this escalator, that it's horrible because everybody's passing you by. But it could be where you need to be sometimes.
Yeah.
To get to a place where you're like, oh, okay, everybody's moving. Now it's time for me to move. I get it now.
Yeah. Yes. If you're comparison, right. if you're comparing yourself to others. If you're comparing yourself to others and you're feeling like, man, I'm losing because they're winning, that's one thing. If you've set an expectation to grow, to change, like, hey, this month, I'm going to hit this goal. And you know that requires growth and change and effort. And for us to assume that standing still and doing nothing, because this is our season right now where I just got to reflect and I got to heal, it's completely okay to have the solitude in a moment of healing and meditation and reflection, as long as it aligns with your expectations in terms of your goals.
You may not have any expectations when you're in that season. You may be at such a low place that you have no idea what to do, where to go, who to listen to, who to turn to, and you're in that moment and you're in that space. And I don't necessarily agree with I'm comparing myself to somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is where I am right now. I'm not worried about what this person is doing up here or even what this person is doing down here. You know, you can get into a place where at least I'm not down here, I'm not there, but at least I'm taking all that away and saying what's happening with me right now.
Yeah.
I really need to focus on where I am.
Yeah.
So I wasn't thinking of it in that sense.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. As long as that person is not comparing themselves, otherwise they'll beat up on themselves and they won't spend that time necessary to reflect and grow, because they're like, man, I'm falling behind. So that's what I was saying, that even if we may be saying the same thing, because what I'm saying is, like, if you take away comparison, you won't feel like, man, I'm falling behind, because you know in that moment, this is a moment for me. It's a moment for self, which I think is what you're saying.
That is what I'm saying, but I don't feel like that's what you were saying.
Oh yeah, no,
so.
I was. You just received it differently.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost felt like you took it personally just now. You're like, I'm not comparing. Well, you're growing. You're not the person that's standing still anyway.
You made me feel like if I was, or anyone was in that place, that they were comparing themselves.
No, I was saying as long
else.
as they're not.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. As long as they're not comparing themselves.
Yes, I agree with
then
that.
they will be able to be in solitude and have peace with it. There's no way you can have peace in this moment of stillness if you're comparing yourself to those who are moving forward, because you feel like, well, I don't have time for peace right now because they're moving. That's what I'm saying. But at the same time, the expectation, first of all, there should always be some expectation in life, in my opinion. This is like, there should be some expectation, an expectation of, hey, this is my moment where I'm going to heal completely, because I keep getting involved with folks and I'm not healed, they're not healed. This is my moment that I'm going to hit my goals. This is my moment where I'm going to spend some time with my son or my daughter, or develop a better relationship with my mom. So it doesn't have to be financial goals. I'm just saying, you're saying, man, what if they don't have expectations? I'm like, well, that's, for me, that's a bad place to be in, to have no expectations.
It is a bad place to be. but you have to still give people grace and permission to be in that place.
Yeah.
You're so you're so here that I don't know if you're remembering how it could be for people who aren't there. Because if you go back to where you were 20 years ago, you had to get to a place where you were able to pick yourself up and change your self-talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I did. I'm trying to remember, because you're right, but financially, yes, it's been a long time since I've been in a place where I've had to worry about money, but I'm thinking about even when I was looking for the $20 in the yard that time, when the $20 meant everything to me. I'm trying to think, did I not have any expectations?
Well, everybody's wired differently.
Yeah.
Everybody comes from different backgrounds and different moments things have happened to them.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying we have to still appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like we don't get it.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree that having grace and appreciation for those who are not at the same place as us is important, especially when you're coaching others, which is what I do for a living.
Yeah, and I'm saying it because I have not always been the person to grant that.
Yeah.
I know that I have been in a place where I've been very judgmental, right? So I look at, now that I know better, you look at things differently, right? Like instead of saying, well, why would they do that? You say, why would they do that? Like what's going on? With more compassion instead of saying, well, why would they do that? Right?
Yeah, it shows your growth.
Now I say, now why, what would make them do that? Maybe like you have to look at it, maybe it's because of this, maybe it's because of this. Like there's so many ways.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that people are how they are.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that one of the things, because we're talking about growth, and one, I appreciate your vulnerability and transparency with our audience, because anyone who's been around you have noticed your growth. But we're not done. You said, this is what it is. I'm good. And part of the challenge with growth is that if you are around people who feel like where we've arrived is good enough, we didn't think we'd be here, that's a dangerous place if you want to continue to grow. Like for me, I'm just going to talk about me. I'm not talking about anybody else. For me, I cannot ever imagine being in a place where I'm like, I am who I am. Everything that I've become, whether it be a dad, husband, best friend, business partner, I've already reached the pinnacle in all those levels. Like I can't be a better dad. I've already given it everything I have. I can't be a better friend. Sure. I can't be a better, I just feel like there's always more. There's always more within me to grow, to develop. There's wisdom I can gain, and there's knowledge that I can get from others.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
But here's a challenge. If your connections, if your associations don't align with what I just said, and you do, like you're like, man, I feel you, Darnell. I'm that way 100%. And you're around someone who's like, I never thought I'd be here. So what's wrong with where we are? That can cause a significant wedge.
Yeah, well, that it's funny you're saying that. I have a friend, Makisha. Hi, Makisha. And one of her triggers is when people say, "At least you." So you get in that mindset of, well, at least I have this job. I didn't think I was going to graduate.
Right.
At least my kids are in school because I barely made it through school.
Right.
That at least syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you fall into that, and because you're like, well, I'm good where I am because at least I'm not fill in the blank, right?
Yep.
And you have to get out of that. It's hard sometimes to get out of that mindset when you don't have, like you said, higher goals or people around you holding you accountable for, what do you mean at least?
Right.
We have more things to do here.
Right.
Like this is just the beginning.
Right.
And you're very stagnant, and I'm okay right here because at least I did better than my grandma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we used to call it making your minimums your maximums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like, man, if I could ever get to 6 figures, and then you get to 6 figures, you're like, woo, did it.
Yeah.
And now that's your maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Right? First, it was like, man, if I could at least get to 100,000, but then you got to 100,000, it became your maximum. It's like, You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the reasons that at 28, we were in the worst financial place we've ever been in our entire life. Like literally horrific. I won't even go into it. One of the previous episodes, we talked about it. But just a couple of years later, like at 31, we had quadrupled what we made our best year when we had jobs.
Right.
And all I'm saying is we could have easily been like, we're good. But I had bigger dreams, and I thought that, and we talked about this, but here's the thing. When we first got married, we didn't talk about being at that place because we didn't know that place existed.
Yeah.
No one we knew was at that place. So we could have easily said, or I could have said, all right, babe, it's time to get to the next level. And you could have said, why? Like, why sacrifice more? Why give up more? Why miss out on more?
Well, we did what we said we're going to do. So we did it.
That's my point. That's my right. So growth, this is why it's so challenging.
Yeah.
Because if there's not someone who's affirming your affirmations, they are detracting. They are unfortunately holding you back. They are a sandbag and anchor to your next level.
Yeah.
Like when your affirmation is, I am this.
Yeah.
Like I do this. And that person's like, I don't know why you want to do all of that. I don't know why. I mean, why does it have to be all of that? Why do you have to be motivated all the time? Why do you have to, always talk about the next level? If someone is not aligned with your growth, my gosh, they are detracting from it. There is no in between. There's no.
No, you're right.
Okay.
I'm looking at my friend Janelle Jefferson because she doesn't like when people say you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Am I? Good. I'm gonna keep doing it.
Right. What's too much?
What's too much?
Right.
You're doing too much.
Right. I mean, it probably means that the association is off.
It's true.
The association is off.
Exactly right.
You know what I mean? Because those who are aligned with progression, advancement, growth, all the words we talked about meaning growth, right? Change.
Yeah.
They're like, go. What's next?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, Janelle knows the friends she's around who are like, what's next? What's the date? When we going? When we making it happen? And the ones that are like, really? Like, why? Like,
and also,
aren't you tired? Take a nap.
Right. And also the people who she's around that she makes better. Yeah. Because she's the one, if I say, oh yeah, I'm done. Why are you done? We can do 10 more reps. Like, why are you done? Right. We didn't have enough time to do, like, so she knows you have to allow people to push you too. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's so good.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, but.
No, it's but this is key, right? To growth. We're talking about growth.
Yeah.
Which means change, which means someone has to be okay with you being at your next level. And sometimes envy keeps people away from wanting to see their friends at the next level.
That's huge.
Sometimes their lack of desire to grow keeps them from wanting someone else to grow. Because if you grow and I decide not to, I look smaller. Even though I'm not, I look smaller because you look bigger. And some people don't want to look small around someone who's gotten bigger. Instead of saying, my gosh, let me hold on your coattails.
Yeah.
What are you saying? What are you doing?
Right.
To get there. That's me. I'm like, dude, I'm not jealous if you drive that. I'm like, what'd you do to get it? So I can do the same thing if that's my desire.
Right.
So I think this is the growth thing. I'm attracted to growth. I admire growth. I can't attract and get something different by maintaining the same type of habits, patterns, being the same person that I was last year. Never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Look, we read a book last month. We have a book club, and it was by Jay Shetty. And you started reading it before
Love
me.
Rules.
Yeah. Was it 8 Love Rules? And he said that it isn't love if you're growing to hate the person who you are to love someone else. Like if I'm becoming this person where I'm starting to hate myself.
But you're only that way because you want someone else to love you.
Exactly. I'm hating the person I'm becoming to love the person that I'm saying I love. He's like, that's not love, it's self-sabotage. And it may not be said exactly that way in the book, but it's close to that.
Right.
So if I'm becoming more and more of a person who's hating me, like I can't believe I'm this person. I can't believe my life is like this. I can't believe, right? To be able to love this person that I'm saying I'm loving, that's not love. It's self-sabotage.
I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
But it has something to do with growth, right? Because I'm dimming my light. I'm becoming less. Yeah. I'm not progressing. I'm not advancing. I'm not changing for the better. all because I want to fit in here.
Right.
But yet that's not what you want because you're hating yourself for that. So if that's what you want, if you're like, hey, look, honestly, I don't even know if I ever had big dreams. I'm not even sure. Like, I'd rather live like this, be like this, and nothing wrong like that. You said earlier, there's no judgment there. Like, if you say, hey, look, this is it. My challenge is that my kids suffer when I'm not a better father.
Yeah.
Right? When I can't communicate more effectively.
There's no judgment there, but that's just not the type of energy I could stand and be around for a long time.
Right. Well, you can because you're in the growth.
But no, I don't. It's not judgment, but
I know. I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that let's look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. Because this is about self-talk, right? So you're saying something to yourself right now. That's what you were like. Hey, I can't, right? Because this is your self-talk right now,
right? But I don't want it to come across as, and you can't even say, some people say, well, if you like it, I love it, but you really don't. Like, you really don't. I don't want that for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And sometimes they don't like it.
Right. You just kind of say it to make it okay.
That's exactly where I was going.
But I just still feel like you're not in agreement with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we're not saying, this could be another episode, but we're not saying not to give the people around you a chance to become addicted to growth, to become the person who wants to see a better version of themselves. Because sometimes people have just stopped believing that they could become better.
Right.
Right? They've been talked down to. They have perhaps not met goals in a while.
Sure.
Perhaps they've had failure after failure after failure repeatedly. And that caused you to stop believing in yourself sometimes. You know what I mean? Every time you set a goal to lose weight, every time you set a goal to hit a financial goal, every time you set a goal, you know what I mean, to build a healthy relationship, it just feels like, man, it's a setup. Like, I'm not winning in any area.
Again, it's the story you're telling yourself, though.
Exactly right.
Right.
That's what I was going to get to. Look at us being on the same page. That's what I was about to say. So you could say that to yourself, like, I can't, every time this happens and I'm failing, or my gosh, I am setting myself up for the most successful life ever, because I'm learning all the things I don't want, all the people I don't want to be around. And now people are, if they're growing, they're quicker to say no as a complete sentence.
Right.
Not no because we're just
no
not
explanation
a fit. And
needed.
Sorry, no second date.
Oh, okay.
No, because from the first date they knew. It's like, and they was like, well, I mean, he's funny, so maybe we can go on. No,
babe,
no. That was just, look. You see, I said no and pause because it was a complete sentence.
Okay.
So opportunity. No, seriously, I'm just like an opportunity, because people come up with different opportunities all the time.
Right.
Like, no, thank you though. I appreciate that. Not no because I'm busy. No, listen, guys. Sometimes we're saying things to make other people feel better, but in doing that, we're lying to ourselves. And I'll give you a quick example.
Wow.
We'll be done. Sometimes I would say, and put it on myself.
Okay.
I would find myself saying things like, man, I can't do that this weekend. I actually could do it if I wanted to. So that was a lie to myself.
Right.
And a lie to them.
Right.
The truth. And I catch myself because we've been doing this podcast now for over a year. So I'm improving my self-talk so that I'm honest with me. And when I'm honest with me, it's important that I'm honest with others. So it's not that I can't do it. I choose not to do it.
You're free but not available.
That's exactly right. I'm not available to do that. And I choose not to. It's not that I can't. And I actually say it. And in a nice way. It's not like, heck no, I would never do that. It's like, hey, no, I'm not able to be there. And I'm not, because I choose not to.
Right.
But my self-talk says.
And that's the truth.
Right. The self-talk says, I'm choosing not to go, not that I can't go.
Yeah.
I may not tell them, hey, I'm actually choosing not to go there with you. But as long as I know, you know what? And so if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to one of my close friends, I'll say, I'm actually choosing not to go.
Right.
Instead of I can't go.
And that's okay.
Right. So remember, guys, this small shift, this slight shift in what you're saying, not I can't believe, instead, I can't wait. Like, I can't believe I'm still this weight, or I can't believe I haven't hit 6 figures. I can't wait to hit 6 figures. It's coming. See, the shift either leads you into a positive space with positive energy, or a negative space with negative energy. Choose positive every time.
That's right. That's good, babe.
Thank you. We're growing.
Yeah.
We're growing. Listen,
Absolutely.
guys, another episode of Self-Talk,
Yes.
where the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we'll attract for ourselves.
And if I tell you, if you like it, I love it, it's probably not true.
See you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.